He's more than just my boxing coach, though.
Yeah.
He's my family, like my best friend. He's a mentor, mindset, everything. Like
The I Catch Killers podcast was a fresh start for me, as I left policing behind and started a new life. Over the years, we've laughed together, cried, and shared some powerful moments. Welcome to I Catch Killers. Welcome back to part 2 of my chat with Australian super lightweight boxing champion Ella Boot. In part 1, we spoke to Ella about her journey into boxing through her martial arts and a little bit about growing up. Now we're going to join Ella as she prepares to defend her title. Ella, you and Johnny have very kindly given me access to a lead up to you defending your title in boxing. So I had access to watching you train one-on-one with Johnny, some sparring sessions before the fight, the weigh-in, and then fight night, and down in the change room before the fight night. I got to say, it's an intense experience.
Yeah, it is definitely an intense experience, and throughout the whole fight prep and then leading up, it is quite full on.
When did you find out that you were defending your Australian title? How long before the actual event?
I had pretty good notice. I think it might have been 2 months. I think I had a full camp.
Yep.
So yeah, I had a full notice of this fight, which was quite nice actually. Yeah.
And how long do you need to prepare for a fight, generally speaking?
Usually like 6 to 8 weeks is a good camp.
Yeah.
But we always stay ready anyway, just in case something comes up sooner, like 4 weeks or something like that. But yeah, generally like an 8-week camp's pretty good, 10 weeks.
So when you say you keep yourself relatively fit,
yeah.
So you don't have to just start from the beginning again.
Yeah, no. So not gonna lie, pretty much I'm in full camp like all year round.
Waiting for that fight.
Yeah, just waiting, just in case something comes up. So I'm always training.
And it's as I understand, it's been a bit difficult for you getting some fights sometimes.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it's been really difficult. I've had quite a few pullouts and a few times where I haven't been able to get fights, which has been quite frustrating at times. But yeah, it's like it's hard, but you've got to do what you got to do. And I even had to step up through multiple weight divisions to get fights. And yeah.
That was not talking about the fight with Gene Macker, who you fought for, or defending your title. That was the previous fight. You had to step up some weights.
Yeah, so my debut, I stepped up, and then I think it was the second one after that. I went up to 68 kilos, and I'm supposed to fight at 61. So that was like 7 kilo difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
That is a huge difference.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, why do you think you can't get opponents? I think the answer's fairly obvious to me, but why can't you get opponents?
I think women's boxing's not huge in professional ranks at the moment. It's more amateur. So there's not a big pool of female fighters, especially at my weight. I think they're all quite a bit lighter generally, a lot of them, and there are obviously heavier girls as well.
What's the weight limit that you're fighting at?
61.2 kilos.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a super lightweight.
So I actually have my title at the weight division above.
Oh,
at
right.
63 and a half. Yeah.
So you can take it down if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Can you just explain the weight divisions to people that mightn't understand boxing?
Yeah. So going through...
just generally how it's broken up, because they would hear world champions but probably not fully appreciate what the different weight classes are.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different weight classes, and they go up in increments. So for me, I'm at lightweight, which is 61.2, and then you've got 63.5, which is super lightweight, and then you've got welterweight, super welter, and it keeps going up by a couple of kilos.
Yeah.
And you've got all your champions within each weight division, but then you've also got, on a world level, you've got your world titles, and there's 5 different belts as well. So to be undisputed, you need all the 5 belts
in that weight division.
Yeah.
And the reason they have the weight divisions in boxing is to make it equal, that you're competing on equal footing. So when you say it, when you're talking in the 61 kilo range and you go up 7 kilos, that's a significant step up, fighting someone 7 kilos heavier than you.
Yeah, it is.
A little bit more power, a little bit more weight, they can lean on the punches and lean on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Johnny for a bit.
Okay.
What was it? What's the special qualities that And he's trained multiple world champions. And he is literally a Hall of Famer in the boxing world. What is it about his type of training that jumped out to you when you started with him?
Johnny is very caring and really he gives you like this belief in yourself that you didn't know you had. Like I was always confident within myself, but Johnny just gives me this extra belief and desire, and he makes me want to even more than I ever thought that I did, which is so like special because I love Johnny so much. I feel like I would do anything for him, and yeah, it's really nice. And his training, like it's like really consistent, and he makes you push past points you didn't know you could do. For example, like he'd make you do your push-ups on your knuckles, and he'd make you do 20 reps more than you thought you could do. Yeah, you've got the scars too.
The scars on the knuckles.
Yeah. But yeah, like he'll make you do 10 and then he'll make you do 20 and then it just keeps going up and you're like, when are we going to stop? But he's sort of like pushing you past your point of breaking. Like he's just making you go a bit further, and yeah, I think it's a really good way to train because yeah, it makes you realize that you can do things that you didn't even think you could do.
Yeah, there's something
Mm.
special about what he delivers in that he
Yep.
seems to get the best out of everyone, regardless whatever
100%.
level they are. So at all different levels, but he seems to get that level out. And
Yeah.
because it is Johnny Lewis, you can't say no. That type of thing. So I could imagine that. But what about the technical aspects that he brings to the table too for you? Like
Yeah.
having been around in the business for so long, there's
Yep.
probably not a thing he hasn't seen or done in the world of boxing.
Yeah.
Do you find that he just delves
Oh,
into the
yeah.
encyclopedia and
Yeah, I love the way he trains me technically as well, like keeping my punches short and having good head movement and working off my jab and things like that. Like I really love that style. I feel like that works with me really, really well. And yeah, like he'll teach you something and you not even realize that he's teaching it to you. So he'll just be doing pads with you or something, and then he'll just say one little thing, and you're like, oh yeah, like that's what you've been saying to me this whole time. But like he's been saying it sort of like in a different way where he makes you sort of learn it. He doesn't just say, oh, this is what you need to do. Like he'll sort of make you feel it in a way.
yeah.
And I think that's a really amazing thing that he does. And yeah, he's got a world of knowledge. Like he's been around boxing his whole life, so I'm going to listen to everything he says.
It's just like
amazing.
a sponge absorbing
Yeah,
all the
100%.
information.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the boxing world too. That it's not by chance on a show like I Catch Killers. We speak to so many people that have been touched by the boxing world and all that, and it does attract some colourful characters. I see you around in different boxing gyms or whatever, and I've seen you spar quite a few times and training, and you walk in there and there's some pretty interesting looking characters, like where exactly what you would expect in a boxing gym, and the type of characters that would fit very nicely into the I Catch Killers podcast.
Yeah.
And you walk in. Do you ever feel intimidated or out of place in those environments because they are there's a definite feel about a boxing gym?
Not really. I don't know, because yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the gym's my home, no matter what gym it is. Like if I walk into a gym I've never been in before and it's full of men,
Yeah.
like quite intimidating people, but in the gym I'm not intimidated at all.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I've got to say, I see you the way you conduct yourself around the gym, and when you do spar, and you see a lot of people in there sparring, and a lot of tough guys, and really mixing it up. When you get in, a lot of eyes are on you sparring. Like there's a respect that's given to you, and that must be
Yeah.
something that's good to walk
Yeah.
into an environment like that, and you're being given respect because they show the respect in that they just sort of stop what they're doing when you're sparring, and everyone wants to have a look at what you're doing. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's a good feeling, like walking in and like knowing that people respect you for what you've achieved and the person that you are, which is quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially in an environment like that.
Mm.
Well, we're going to get on to the prep for the fight and that, but just one other aspect that I think is funny. I love the boxing crowd that at boxing events, the type of crowd. And if people who haven't been to boxing, I describe it this way: black seems to be the favoured colour. There's a lot of gold bling there. There's a lot of tattoos.
Mm.
There's girls that are dressed up like they're going out to a ball or a wedding, and there's the gangster-looking types. It attracts a lot of interesting people, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, there's such a big variety of people.
Yeah. What's your take on it? Do you ever surprised or amazed at the type of people that turn up to boxing?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so varied on the people, and I think it's quite beautiful, really, like that everyone comes together for a sport, and it's really nice. Like no matter who you are, you're all there cheering each other on. You see someone cheering someone on they don't even know, and they're just being like really nice about it, and it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, it brings on. You see heads of industry with sporting stars and actors, all sorts of people that are drawn to it. But I haven't thought about that, how it does bring people together from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And I think that is perhaps the nature of boxing. Like it's a leveler for everyone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much money you've got or what qualifications you've got. You step in the ring and everyone's equal until the punches are started to be thrown.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, now let's go on the journey. You're going to take the listener and myself on the journey when you find out that you've got a fight lined up, and you've got Jean Macca that from New Zealand, who comes with a pretty good reputation, that you're going to fight her, and you're being given how many weeks' notice?
So I found out that I was fighting for defending my Australian title. So I was already pretty much in training camp, but it was sort of like, yep, this is on now. Like we've got a date, we're ready to go. And so I had my sparring and everything organised, all my training and everything.
How many weeks out from this before the fight are we talking about?
About I think it's about 8 weeks.
8 weeks,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I
And
think so.
you're the main event, the headline act.
Yeah,
Okay. Had you been the headline act on a professional card before?
No. So it was my first headline, which is pretty awesome. Really good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the first step? You're 8 weeks out.
hmm
You look at your weight. You got your weight right, your cardio fitness, and then the sharpness. Talk us through the journey of the build up to the fight.
Yeah, so you've got to think about all those aspects, your cardio, your strength, your boxing, your weight, everything about it. Even like the little things like your sponsors and the support and things like that. All the little bits you got to get done, making sure you got your fight shorts ready and everything. So once I sort of had the clear idea on what I was going to do there, I went into my fight camp and planned out my next 8 weeks leading up to the fight and how I'm going to get there and be fully prepared for fight day.
So is this a case of sitting down with your team and Johnny and going, okay, this is what I need. I need to spar so many rounds. I need this. Do you set benchmarks for yourself leading up to the fight?
Yeah, it was more of a casual conversation that I have with Johnny. We sort of just talk about like, okay, we're going to do like 2 sparring sessions a week.
Yep.
And we're going to try and do it on these days and sort of what just really works for us, because Johnny also really goes on how you're feeling as well. So he's not gonna make me spar 10 rounds or whatever if I've had a really like shitty day and not feeling like training or anything like that. So he'll sort of be really adaptive in the way he trains me, which is I think a really positive thing. So
Comes with the experience.
yeah, I think it definitely does. And we go week to week on how I'm feeling, and yeah, we just plan everything around that, if that makes sense.
How did this camp, the lead up, feel? Did you have some highs and lows? Were there points where you get to the point and think, oh, I'm just not, it's not clicking, and then other times you think, yeah, I've got it? Was there different emotional stages you go through?
Yeah, I think with every camp there's always going to be a few up and downs. At the start I was feeling like little bit stagnant because I hadn't fought since July, and I was like, oh, I just want to fight now. But then I don't know, I just felt like this had been a really good camp for me, and I think this one was definitely the best one yet. I felt really good. I had no injuries, no sickness or anything like that. So I was pretty lucky to go through the whole camp.
Because that's another thing that befalls boxers in the train up. Like
Mm,
invariably they'll get a flu or whatever,
yeah.
and you've got to be so careful because they're
Yeah.
training themselves right to the edge,
Mm.
and that can come on. So with the fight coming up, the opponent, were you worried about her?
I did some research on her and got as much as I could from the internet. There wasn't really a huge amount on her boxing, but she had a really big history of MMA and kickboxing. So I knew it was going to be similar to my last opponent, who was also an MMA fighter. Um, she looked a lot taller than I thought than she actually was.
Mm.
So I was expecting it to have longer reach and be really aggressive, but she actually turned out to be a really good boxer for someone that's only had their second boxing fight. And yeah,
Because she had a history as a mixed martial artist.
yeah. So I saw that she was a really good kicker and everything.
Yeah.
So I just went out thinking that this is going to be a tough fight and I need to be prepared for anything that comes at me. So
Yeah.
just had to be ready.
And do you train specifically for the opponent? Like she's tall girl, you train a little bit differently if she was short and stocky. She was
Yeah.
tall, lanky
Yeah,
girl.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where the tactical side of boxing has to come into it. You have to be smart about who you're fighting and how you're going to beat them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely plays a big part.
Do you emotionally change or mentally change as you get closer to the fight? Is it yeah? I was speaking to your boyfriend and he was saying, yeah, she gets a little bit cranky closer
Yeah.
to the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I try not to. I find the last maybe like 2 weeks I'm sort of getting like really like zoned in
Yeah.
and like don't like anyone around me. I don't like if I get someone disturbs my sleep, I get really cranky because I prioritize my health and making sure I'm on top of my game every day. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do get a little bit cranky. Sorry.
I understand it. If you're trying to achieve something,
Yeah.
you've got to have that tunnel vision.
Mm.
And I don't think I can't think of many things fighting for defending your Australian title. You need to be focused. You
Yeah.
can't be distracted. So I
Exactly.
do understand that. So with the sparring, what's the purpose of the sparring?
That's just getting in the ring and having someone. It's the closest thing you're going to get to a fight. So you're going to be sparring people that are going to be challenging you. They're going to be throwing punches at you. You're going to be working on your skills that you've been practicing and training, getting your hand-eye coordination and seeing punches coming and be able to react better and reactions and all that sort of stuff. It's the best thing that you can do leading into a fight.
You need to create that environment where it's as closest to the fight, and you can't really. Well, you can, but it's not the best preparation. You can't step in unless you've done those rounds of sparring, and you feel yourself sharpening up. Is that what you're feeling?
100%. Yeah. Like at the start of a camp, you might be a little bit slow if you hadn't sparred in a while. So getting the sparring up as much as you can. You're going to have really bad sparring days, and then as you go through camp, it's going to be up and down the whole time. But I think overall, like you keep progressing and your body's just getting more adapted to that. And yeah, it's just definitely the best thing.
There's a real science to the preparation, isn't there? Because sometimes you're getting yourself fit, so you're flat when you spar and you feel sluggish when you're sparring and you think, God, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And then it all comes together. And I suppose having someone like Johnny, it's about peaking at that right time where it comes together. He mentioned when I was watching you train at Sydney University, when you're just having a one-on-one session and the pads and shadow boxing and different things, about people getting overcooked. And I've heard a lot of people talk about that in the boxing world. Explain what that is, where the preparation
go
too hard.
You do can definitely overtrain yourself, and I think that's where you've got to be really smart about your training camp. So I track my recovery every day, my sleep, everything, and I base off how I'm feeling with how intense my training sessions are, and as long as I'm doing the work, then I know I'm going to be fit and I'm going to be good, So I just base off how I'm feeling with what intensity of a training session I'm going to have and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sparring, I noticed you're not. Well, when I was seeing you spar, you weren't sparring with headgear. In the last sparring session, did you have another sparring session after that when you got the
Um,
cut with the Italian bloke?
yeah,
You had one more after that.
that was the last one. That one.
That was the
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah.
So I went along and watched that. That bloke could fight.
Yes.
He wasn't there for a good time.
No.
He put you through the paces, and
Mhm.
you really matched it up. But how is that fight? Getting him with obviously a quality boxer that he was,
Mm.
and you two went at each other pretty intensely.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's what you need before a fight, like
Yep.
the high intensity rounds and being able to uh not so much practice, but like display what you've been working on and what you've been doing in your previous sparring sessions that might not have been as intense, and then having the hard sparring session, yeah, it just really makes you like sort of sharp and reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were certainly impressive what you were doing there, and I think I heard Johnny make the comment that she's ready.
Mm.
She's ready.
Mm.
So you've done all the physical preparation,
Mhm.
the training, you've got your fitness up, you've got the sparring ready, and then the week leading up to the fight. What are you doing there? What's going through your mind, and how do you prep? So by the time Ella Boots' name's called and you're walking up to walk out into the arena,
Mm.
what's happening in that week leading up to the fight?
So I do a lot of visualization. So this is throughout my whole camp, but
Yep.
especially throughout my fight week because I've reduced my training load. So now I'm doing a lot more mental game and things like that. So I'll be doing a lot of studying on the internet and preparing for my tactics and going over things. And yeah, I'm visualizing what things I'm going to do in the ring and what I'm going to do before I get out to the ring, and sort of just putting myself in that situation and getting prepared as much as I can for it and not feeling nervous and being 100% comfortable.
Can you consciously create that environment where you're not feeling nervous? Because nerves can suck a lot of energy out of you.
Yeah.
You can put that aside.
Yeah. I prepare myself before and then I don't get nervous at all because I've already been in that situation. So it's not nervous. No, it doesn't make you feel like that at all.
That comes from your experience. Is that the way you look at
Yeah.
it? Been there, done that. This is not going to worry me.
Yeah. And when I visualize, I make it as real as possible. So I like fully see myself from that point, like in the changing room to walking out to the ring, standing in front of my opponent, the fight, and then after the fight, getting my hand raised.
Right. So
Yeah, I completely.
that's the mental preparation that you do.
Yeah, the
Okay,
whole thing.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you developed that yourself, or did someone teach you that, or did you learn it from somewhere?
I learned through my mindset coach, Dave Cattle. I speak to him every week on a phone call.
Right.
But when I was in karate, I did do a little bit of visualization as well. So I've always sort of done that. But we've sort of refined it and made it as good as it is now with my mindset coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. A mindset coach. We talked Johnny. Who else is part of your team?
Yeah. I've got an amazing team. So,
Run us through them and what their role is.
so I've got Johnny Lewis, my boxing coach.
Who's he? What would he know?
Johnny Lewis.
Yeah.
You don't know him?
Yeah.
Johnny Lewis. He's more than just my boxing coach, though.
Yeah.
He's my family, like my best friend. He's a mentor, mindset, everything. Like he's just the whole package for me. I love him so much. And then I've got Jason Lang. He's my
Yep.
other boxing coach, and he's a really big part of my team in that he helps me with the pads and runs me through training sessions as well. I've got
And isn't just on Jason? Isn't he
Yeah.
a nice fella
Oh,
too?
he's the
Yeah,
best.
there's a calmness about
Yeah.
Jason that really comes through. I can imagine
Yeah.
having him in your corner would make you feel good
It
too.
is. It's
Yeah.
really nice. I love having him on my team.
Yeah.
I got David Barker, my strength and conditioning coach. So he'll run me through my conditioning and make sure that I'm prepped and explosive and fit and ready for my fight.
And what sort of things are you doing there that's different from what I see with your sparring and shadow boxing? That is specific fitness training.
Yeah. So I'm building my fitness, building my strength, and I'm doing explosive things and getting ready for my fight. So it's very like scientific in
Yep.
a way. So yeah, he'll do a program for the 8 weeks, and it will be a progression up to the fight.
There's a
That
lot
makes
that
sense.
goes into it, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, and anyone else in the team?
Yeah, my mindset coach, Dave Cattle.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a weekly call on the phone, and he talks to me about boxing, but also about life in general and how I can bring it all together and find a bit of harmony in life. And yeah, I find that's really beneficial for my boxing, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not just a boxer, I have other things in my life as well.
Yeah.
So I've got to be on the ball. Like, you can't be a world champion if you're failing in your relationships and things like that. So yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but you
Mm,
made me think. I see some people that fight, and they've got an intensity it's almost destructive. You've got to have that balance. That's that yin
100%.
yang side of things, isn't it?
Yeah.
That everything's got to be working
Yeah.
for you to perform at the best level you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've learnt a lot through him, and I've had him since the start of my professional boxing career. So that's been really good as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Anyone else?
Yes, I've got a lot of people on my team. I got a lot of big variety of people that always come and support me and are always there for me. And yeah, it's just nice to have people in my changing room that are 100% there for me and
Yeah.
love me and care for me. And it's
Give
amazing.
give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice.
You could in the change room. You could feel love in the change room. There
Yeah.
was a lot of people there that
Yeah.
were giving you good thoughts and wishes.
Mm.
You mentioned sponsorships, your sponsors and that.
Yeah.
It's a tough gig making money in professional boxing, especially for a female fighter.
Mhm.
It's a little bit tougher than the male fighters.
Yeah.
What sort of sponsorship arrangements do you have or looking for? What happens there?
I'm currently looking for financial sponsorships.
Yep.
Like, I'm looking for like a weekly wage sort of thing, so that I'm able to train and be able to focus on my fighting and everything. Because it's hard. Like, you got to train, and how do you train at 2 o'clock when you're supposed to be working at 3 and things like that?
Yeah.
So I actually was doing university, and I had to defer it this year because I couldn't get to the classes because training was my number one priority. But yeah, so I'm looking for sponsorships. I've currently got a few really good sponsors that are really helping me. They give me like a wage per fight, which is good, but then if I don't fight for 6 months, then how do I survive? So it can be quite challenging. But yeah.
Well, hopefully in this environment with the interest in women's sport, and you're a good role model for anyone that would want to sponsor what you're achieving and the way you present yourself.
Yeah.
So hopefully that you might find something just around the corner with that one.
Hopefully.
What were you studying at university?
High performance sport.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
All right.
really
Well,
awesome.
that's relevant,
Yeah.
isn't it? That helps.
Yeah.
How do you supplement your income? Because I've seen you sometimes at early training sessions, and you say I've got to go work and different things like that. What do you do to get some financial assistance? You're training?
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of coaching at BT's Boxing,
Yep.
which is Brett Townsend. You met him in the changing room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do a bit of coaching there, and he's really supportive with my career and everything. So I'm pretty average employee, because I'm always like, I've got to go to training. Can you cover my shift?
Don't say that.
Sorry.
Wait, she's the best trainer you got. Give her more. Yeah, pay her more.
But
Give her more.
no, he's so supportive, and like, yeah, it's amazing, the whole team there. And
He seems like a bit of a character too.
oh yeah,
He's funny guy.
He's the best. Yeah, so I do some coaching in the mornings and the afternoons, which works really well, because which is actually because my strength and conditioning coach David trains out of that gym as well, so it's really handy.
Yeah.
So I can go in the morning, train, and then do some hours of coaching and get a little bit of money. Train with Johnny, and then Ava, if I need to do a session like a run or something, I can run around there. And yeah,
It's a fully committed
yeah,
tough life, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Well, I suppose it's a professional boxer.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk the weigh-in.
Okay.
Okay, that was on the day before the fight. What's the purpose of the weigh-in?
Make sure you make weight.
Okay, that's a stupid question. Obvious answer. It's the first time you got to see the girl you were fighting?
Yep.
And to describe this again, because people that don't follow boxing, it's where all the boxers that are going to fight on the card come together, and there's a weight machine there, and it's basically step on the scales, and the weight's recorded, and you get to meet your opponent. There's usually a face-off where you see a lot of people snarl. You smile because you always smile.
Yeah.
That would be unnerving, but I think this could be your secret thing. You smile at your opponent and you think, what's she know that I don't? But there was a lot of respect, which I think is good because there's a lot of trash talking that goes with the combat sports. And when you and Jean faced off, there wasn't, you both stood there with confidence. She was a lot taller than you. It sort of worried me. I'm thinking, she big girl. But there wasn't anything disrespectful?
Nah, not at all. I think that's the way it should be in sport. I think it's important to be respectful because if you're going to say something nasty to someone, you're just going to get shown off in front of everyone. So, yeah.
I think it was exciting at first when it started to be the norm, but now it's getting a little bit boring and know it's just whipped up and it's just talking. I think when you see two elite athletes giving each other respect, that's more powerful. And I think it makes... I talk from my point of view, more excited about watching the fight than seeing some clowns, yelling and pushing at each other.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, what was your impression when you saw her?
She was nice.
I'm trying to. This is I Catch Killers. I need to dig into the anger. What? Okay, we've got it. She was a bit rude.
No, I thought she was going to be, but she wasn't. She wasn't. She was lovely.
I thought I had something there.
Nah, sorry.
You're sure she wasn't rude?
No, not at all.
I thought no, she didn't seem rude. Actually, she seemed like a nice lady.
Yeah.
How do you knowing that? Okay, she's going to come out and try and hurt you, and you're going to try and hurt her. What's your mindset there? Like people mightn't understand it. I think I understand it. You don't have to hate someone to compete against them in boxing. But can you explain it to people?
Yeah, so I don't know, the way I look at it is you're out there to win that title or medal or whatever it is. Like you want to win that fight. And if you're not going to hit them, they're going to hit you. So you've got to just do it and hit them. And I don't know, I don't really look at my opponent as a person when I'm in the ring. Like the person, whoever it is, it doesn't matter who they are. Like you just got to be switched on. Focus on your game.
It's not personal.
It's never personal.
You're doing your job.
Yeah.
So after the weigh-in, that was the Friday night. You're fighting the following Saturday night. You've made weight. You there was a bit of delay on the night before the weigh-in, and I could see a few people starting to get edgy because you're hungry. Because after that, you don't have to worry about what you weigh.
Yeah.
What did you do straight after the weigh-in?
I went and had some chicken and rice and sweet potato, had my meal after weigh-in and hydrated. And then went home, had some oats, so I was carb loading.
Yep.
Had good sleep, woke up and I was just rehydrating, refueling, preparing for the day. Yeah.
Okay. Did you get a good night's sleep?
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
And day of the fight. Talk us through what happens on the day of the fight.
So I went and had breakfast with my best friend.
Yep.
So it's quite relaxing, really. Like you don't want to be overthinking everything. Had brekkie and then went home and just got all my things together and got ready. Did a bit of research again, and then I was just relaxing. Ended up watching Conor McGregor's documentary on Netflix.
Oh, it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Took my dog for a walk and did normal daily things, to be honest. And then when my partner Zach got home, we pretty much just went out to the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spoke to Zach. I've met him quite a few times, but he said he'd rather be fighting than seeing you fight. Is there the discussions there? Because he does fight. It's difficult for him watching you fight.
Yeah, it is really difficult. He hates me seeing like black eyes and things like that. Like he really doesn't like it at all. But he supports me as well. Like he knows that I love it so much, and he's always going to support me. But yeah, he doesn't like the hurt side of it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
So you go to the location where the fight's on.
Mhm.
It was at Hornsby RSL. There was a big
Yeah.
crowd. There was, it was an exciting environment. When you got there, you went straight down to the change room.
Yeah.
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 You don't like to sit and pull in the atmosphere, or you prefer just to be down in the change room?
I prefer to just be in the changing room. Yeah.
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 And what's going through your mind at that stage?
Just focusing on my tactics and skills and things that I had to do for the fight, but also like not overthinking, just staying relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was there with my friends and Zach and my family. My dad was there, and like I had all my team with me and everything, so it was quite relaxed. And yeah, that's how I like it.
Yeah, it was a calm atmosphere,
Mm.
because I've seen different change rooms before people go out to fight, and sometimes it's very intense, other times. But it was a relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah.
I saw slight changes in you. I think you got cranky at Johnny for taking one of your jelly beans. So yeah, so there was a slight subtle change. All jokes aside, I was watching you, and from being a homicide detective, you're looking at body language of people and what's going on, and I'm looking for the change when the smiling Ella that I know when turns into this focus fighter. It was very subtle, but I think you asked for the water or something. Not demanding. You weren't being a prima donna and I want this, I want that. It was just, could you pass me the water? And someone didn't hear you. And the next time, pass me the water. And you didn't say thank you. And I thought that you didn't say thank you.
Oh my God.
It was quite rude, actually. So this is here. We've dug up the dark side of Ella Boot.
Oh my God.
Look,
who was that to?
I don't want to name the person. They're so upset.
Oh no.
But that was just a subtle thing.
Yeah.
And I see it as you were just in the zone at
Yeah.
that point in time. You're
Yeah.
starting to focus.
Mm.
Then you go through the process of getting your hands wrapped. Talk people through that, because there's a real art to that.
Yeah. So Johnny starts wrapping my hands, and I usually put my headphones on because it's usually quite loud in the changing room. And that's sort of my time where I use it as like a meditation, and I just sort of like get really centered within myself and get grounded, and that's when I sort of get in the zone and get really focused on. Yeah.
And then you start working out on the pads.
Yeah.
And that's just, you start. I saw you stretching and then start moving around, and you can see the focus there, and not a lot. You weren't exhausting yourself, but just sort of warming yourself up.
Yeah.
Doing the pads with Jason and Johnny giving you some advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what's going through your mind there? So we're sort of in you could get the call at any time as soon as they finish those auctions.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I did about 3 hours of shadow boxing.
Yeah, I was getting tired just watching
you. I thought it was 9:30. It was like 11:30 when we went out in the end, which is all right because, I was happy. I was relaxed. I wasn't stressing myself out.
Yeah.
So I did shadow and then pads with Langy, and I felt really good. And then
I saw your dad give you a cuddle and say all the nice things and all that. So that must give you a bit of confidence too.
It is. Yeah, I love having my dad there. And I think it really brings out a nice side in me that I love. It's nice.
He just came down for the night for the fight. Yeah. I asked him about, was he get nervous, and he said, no, I've got confidence in you. And he talked you up in the tactical way that you approach fighting and all that. Said, of course I get a little bit nervous, but I'm confident that she can do the job. Then you get the call, so it's a knock on the door, and you get called up. Your opponent's already in the ring, and you walk out with your entourage, and you get into a lift, and it takes you up to ready to walk into the auditorium where the fight's on. What's going through your mind then?
Just focus, and I was quite excited, to be honest.
It has to be great.
Yeah, it's really thrilling. Yeah, it's so nice. I love it.
Everything's come together, and here's your chance to perform. And
exactly. Yeah, I just remind myself this is literally what I'm here for. This is my dream. Yeah, and I'm literally about to go do it. So it's nice.
You walk into the ring, and everyone clears the ring, and the bell rings, and you start You got the opponent there. There's only 3 people in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
You and your opponent and the referee, who's generally staying out of the way.
Mm.
Talk us through the fight.
Okay, so I was going through my head, I'm just going to be smart this fight, because last one I wasn't as smart as what I could have been, and I know I should have been. But yeah, this is where this fight I really wanted to prove to myself that I am a smart, skillful boxer, and I have got the IQ to beat my opponents and things. So yeah, as soon as the bell went, I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to straight off work off my jab, sort of feel her out a little bit, see what she does. And yeah, she was throwing her jab and I was making sure they were missing. And yeah, so that's sort of how it started. And then as it went through, like, she was getting a bit more aggressive with her shots. Like, it sort of seemed like she was trying to hurt me quite a bit. So I was just making her miss and coming back, and sort of keeping the pressure on her as well. So as soon as I hit her with something, I'd hit her again and she'd sort of not be prepared for it. And that was sort of my tactic, really, just to sort of make her feel uncomfortable as well. Yeah.
My observations of it, it looked like you were in control pretty much. She was a good fighter, and you couldn't drop your guard or lose concentration on it, because she would have capitalised. But you seemed to have a confidence, and you owned the ring. That's the sense that I got.
Yeah.
You had a head clash. The doctor kept checking you between rounds. What happened there?
I actually didn't feel it or anything, but the doctor kept coming and looking at it.
Because you had a big lump growing on.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I'm not liking the look of that," and my corner was like, "It's all right. Like, we'll just keep icing it, and it will be good." Like, it wasn't like a cut or anything. It was just a little lump.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the second last round. I think we had another little head clash, and I was like, "Oh, shit, that really hurt."
Yeah.
Like, I was like surprised it didn't like do a lot worse, but yeah, I felt it, but it didn't really affect me at all, and yeah, I was fine.
What was it, the 5th round or 6th round that you landed one on the nose? And I'd say it was broken with the amount of blood. There was a lot of blood there. Was that the 5th or 6th round?
It might have been the 5th, the second last. Yeah.
And I thought if ever there was going to be a comeback, I thought at that point you'd sort of stamp your authority there. That was landed a sweet punch, and she felt that, and the blood it was just gushing out.
Yeah.
So
it was gross. It actually made me not want to hit it, because I was like, I don't want the blood on me.
Don't tell people that. They'll go in there and just start bleeding, and they'll stop. Oh, you didn't want the blood on you. Well, you were covered in blood.
I know.
That's the nature of the sport. But you hit it well, because when you could see the blood on your opponent, it wasn't like you backed off. It was almost like you've smelt blood, literally.
Yeah.
And I've got her on the ropes.
Yeah.
I won't. I think it's obvious the way we've talked. You won, unanimous points decision, a fine victory. You retained the Australian title. How did you feel?
Amazing, so good. I was so happy. I think more the fact that I performed how I wanted to perform as well. Like, I didn't just get the win off of just fighting.
Yeah,
I did it with skill, and it looked good. So I was happy with that.
Just one thing, I've been talking about the fight on Saturday night as defending your Australian title. I think that there was some confusion on the night that it wasn't, in fact, the Australian title wasn't up for grabs. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought I was doing 8 rounds, and then I got in the ring and the ref said 6, and I was like, oh, that's not a title defense.
Okay, well, because I've throughout the podcast I've been calling it, and I do refer to it as defending the Australian title. So let's tick it off this way: that you thought you were up until you stepped in the ring.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a tough fight. Zach made the comment that it was good seeing you fight a good fighter, because the more skillful fighter, you were showing your skills. It allowed you to show your skills. It wasn't just a brawl.
Yeah, exactly. It was a boxing fight. It wasn't a brawl fight. So it was good. I think it really brought out a good side into my skill and allowed me to show what I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a very exciting night, and full credit to you and the calmness that you display. And you're still a nice person. So it wasn't because I said to Johnny when he said, "No, you got full access," I was a little bit worried because I know some fighters, it's a distraction if you got people round and all that, but really you were so calm. Even
Mm.
when warming up, there was some kids playing in the change room making a hell of a noise. Me trying to record a podcast, I'm thinking, could someone just but it didn't distract you at all. You
No,
just
yeah.
stayed focused. So full credit to you. Now you've got ambitions.
Yep.
What are your ambitions?
To become a world champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my ultimate goal. I just want to be an undisputed lightweight world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're confident you've got the skills?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
What's the next step?
Overseas. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to go overseas and get some international competition, build the rankings up more, and then get that world title shot.
Is that a case you've exhausted the talent pool here that you can?
Yeah, well, it's very difficult for me to get fights in Australia
Yeah.
now anyway. It has been since I turned pro, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely a much larger pool of female boxers in my weight division overseas, and the quality is very high. So I think that will be best for me to get my experience and yeah, compete against the best. So
Well, something I'm not going to doubt you because you seem to achieve, and I wish you full credit. And I just hope people appreciate the effort that goes into it, and you're such a humble person. You don't really explain the pain and the sweat and the tears and everything that goes into achieve the level that you've achieved in boxing at this stage. Do you have any concerns about injuries from boxing? Like the obvious one is the head trauma. What's your
Mm.
take on that?
Yeah, it is pretty scary to be honest because I've had a few concussions before.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm really cautious with it. I think I've had to change my style a little bit to avoid getting concussions,
yeah.
and I think I still do need to a little bit. Yeah, it's not nice, and I don't want to be older and have like brain damage or anything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So I'm really cautious, especially as a young girl. Like I want to have kids and stuff when I'm older.
yeah.
So, and I don't really see myself boxing at 40 years old or anything like that. So I
Yeah.
just want to keep it short and sweet, achieve what I dreamt to do, and that's it pretty much for me.
Well, if they
Yeah.
base it on nice people, you you deserve it because you are. And I say that, Ella, and I'm not joking here. Even when when you turn up with the motley crew, Johnny trains in the morning. You
Mm.
show everyone respect, and yeah, you're an elite boxer, and you turn up there. You're a good person. So I hope you get that success, and
Thank
I hope you
you.
get that sponsorship too. Like
Thank you.
yeah, like really push out. I can't
Yeah.
think of a better ambassador than the person you are. So full credit to you.
Thank
Women's sport. What do
you.
you say to people that want to achieve in women in sport? What would be your advice?
I'd say just if you want to do something, don't be afraid to do it. Just go out and do it. Like just have belief in yourself because the work that you put in is going to show off, and no matter what you do, like yeah, it's going to be all okay. So pursue your dream.
Let's end it there. I like
Okay.
that. Is it too late for me to be a world champion?
No, definitely not.
Oh,
You can do it in
good.
the Masters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's a start. Let's bring Johnny out of retirement. All right, thanks, Ella. All the best in the
Thank
future,
you.
and thank you so much for coming on the
Thank you
podcast.
so much. I appreciate it.
Cheers.